Hi, Riverbend Head Start. Today we're going to be cooking this great sage recipe that Kinley over at Essic came up with. So right now we have this sage, and this is another really good way to get the kids involved, but we want to pull these stalks off the leaves. So whenever you're doing anything in the kitchen, it's always try to get creative with how can I get my child involved, because that's going to help you help with the learning process, but it's also going to help you build those memories. So we just need 4 leaves. We've got some over here we've taken these stalks off of, and then in a medium pan we're going to put a 1/4 cup of our extra virgin olive oil on a very low heat, and then we're just going to take our sage leaves just like this, and we're just going to lay those in the pan. We'll heat this up just a little bit more, and we're going to let those infuse the oil. So we're just laying those sage leaves into the pan just like this. Another way is if you have the kids nearby, you can count the sage leaves as you put them in the pan all the way up to 4. But we're just doing a couple seconds on each side, and then we're just going to try to flip these over just to get the oil on both sides. So it's kind of tricky to do with one hand, but you flip it and then flip it just like that. So once those starting to toast a little bit, I'm going to pull those to the side, and we'll get those out of there. I'm going to use a fork. So a little more, probably a little bit more heat. They're starting to cook. I'm going to pull those out. And ideally you want to set these on a paper towel, but a cutting board for right now, for the purpose of this, will work just fine. Just place that sage leaf down. Just take that guy down. So I can smell, I know you guys can't smell it right now, but I can definitely smell the sage in that oil. So I'm going to turn that off. We don't want to heat our oil. Whenever you're heating olive oil, you don't want to heat it up too quickly. It's going to get hot pretty fast, so we don't want to burn the oil. So we're just going to set that aside. Next we have, I don't have a food processor, that's what works the best, but you could use a blender. So I've got about 2 cups of white beans that I've drained and put those there. I'm going to mix 2 tablespoons of this lemon juice just right in there. And then I'm going to do about a 1/2 teaspoon of salt that I have measured out here. I'm going to just dump that in there. So our minced garlic. So we have 4 cloves minced ahead of time, but if you're doing this, I'm going to try and show you with one hand, but whenever you're mincing garlic, you want to use the point of the blade down and do a rocking motion just like that. And you'd ideally be able to hold it in your other hand, which is making this kind of tricky holding the camera, but you're just going to kind of rock that back and forth just like that. Whenever you're cutting and mincing garlic, point of the blade down's good, and rocking it, just being mindful of your fingers back and forth. That's a real safe way. That way we're not doing this sawing motion, and you're just going to work it back and forth until it's pretty fine. Your blender and food processor are also going to help you mince this up pretty small as well, but it's good to mince it a couple times with the knife just so you don't have any huge chunks of garlic. So we're going to take some of our already pre-minced garlic, and we're just going to throw that in there. So we're going about 4 cloves pre-minced. And then, so the directions for this recipe, we want to blend it and then add the oil as we go. Because this is a blender and I don't have the food processor option to gradually do it, I'm just going to go ahead and pour some of this oil in there. But I'm not going to pour all of it. I'm just going to do about half for right now, and then try and tighten this up a little bit. Sorry for the camera angle, guys. Just get that tightened, and then I'm going to take that mixture and put it down. It's going to be kind of loud. Line that up. just like that. And then I'm going to add, so I'm going to unscrew this top again. And then when you have like some of those sides, I'm just going to use this spatula and kind of work some of that stuff back into that pan, or into that blender cup. And then I'm going to take my oil, I'm going to add a little bit more in there like that until we've got it all in. And then I'm just going to retighten this all the way up. Flip it again. And this is something you can have your kids do as well. It's kind of noisy, but it's good to kind of put and just blend it up a couple times. So just like you would do a smoothie. And we're going to open this up. I'm going to set you guys down real quick just so I can get this. All right. So then, once you've got your blended mixture, you can pour it back into your serving bowl, just like that. And then you could use this if you really wanted to too. You could mince up some of those sage leaves and throw those in there as well. But if you're just looking for a light sage flavor, you've got your mixture right there. And you can spread this on toast. You could probably dip pita chips in it or dip vegetables in it. It's just a really, really, really good way to use some of that sage. So, thank you.